It's the joining together of two land masses. The fault line is unstable and shifting, which is why you get earthquakes in California from time to time.
Wonderful. Couldn't have said it better myself. Everything west of this line is the richest, most expensive real estate in the world. San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco. Everything on this side of the line is just hundreds and hundreds of miles of worthless desert land, which just so happens to be owned by Lex Luthor Incorporated. Now, call me foolish, call me irresponsible. It occurs to me that a 500 megaton bomb planted at just the proper point would
destroy most of California. Millions of innocent people would be killed. The West Coast, as we know it, would
fall into the sea. Bye-bye, California. Hello, new West Coast, my West Coast. Costa del X, Lutherville, Marina del X, Otisburg.
Hey folks, and welcome to another video from A Plain Truth Space for You, A Plain Truth for You, where I'll be posting new postings on, and then also Well Healed 2 on YouTube as well. So I want to take you back a little bit to last springtime when everybody was concerned about the Oroville Dam and the spillage that was coming over, and this was preceded by what happened back in 2017 when the second greatest rains and snow hit California in history after the greatest drought for 5 years in history. That's what opened up, and this is what's created over here on the right here. All the construction, look at all that to support the dam after it had started breaking apart and breaking down. That's what they had to do, and so there was great concern that this massive dam of Lake Oroville was going to spill because they couldn't open up the gateways. They were blocked from opening because they were causing earthquakes, and so they didn't do it. So as synchronicity happens, and synchronicity happens more and more in my life, and probably you listening as well. I'm reading the newspaper yesterday, a local paper, and I was reading our local Anderson Valley paper here, and I started reading about this, The Last Days of the Late Great State of California by Kurt Gentry, written in 1968. So I'm reading down, Reagan, about how Gentry explores how Reagan beat Pat Brown for governor, student protests in Berkeley, and the Watts riots he covers in the Central Valley. 4 counties there alone grew more agriculture for 43 states. The chapter on California South looked at the growth of the Farm Workers Union and fringe religions. Here it gets good. Best chapter of all, though, is Paradise Lost. The last chapter has an earthquake on the San Andreas Fault that makes the 1906 earthquake look like a wind ripple on a puddle. The 1906 earthquake looked like a wind ripple on a puddle. This new quake triggers quakes all over the Southland. The storyline of what happens when the Oroville Dam splits open and unleashes a 100-foot tall wall of water down the Sacramento River through the Delta and out the Golden Gate makes the whole book worth reading. What the, quote, new California looks like after the dust settles defies descriptions. It goes on to say, we'll never be able to determine the full extent of the loss. In human terms, the quake kills 3/4 of the state's residents, or 15 million dead. The mountains remain, but lowlands, coastal areas, and valleys are underwater. The image at the end of the book was a pilot flying and observing large flocks of swallows circling over the Pacific until exhausted fell into the waves. It was March 19th. Remember the sacrifice, their days of sacrifice is right around March 19th. St. Joseph's Days, when the swallows returned to San Juan Capistrano, Michigan. It's a lesson and a serious look at what a major quake would do to the state, and we're overdue for one. It's scary, no doubt. So I didn't know anything about that, but I did know about the Great Flood of 1862, which no one talks about, very few know, because they're calling for the Ark River to occur again, that we're going to be having these Ark River storms. So this was back in 1862, Sacramento, California. Largest flood in the recorded history of Oregon, Nevada, and California, occurring from December 1861 to January 1862, over 2 months, caused the, quote, Ark storm. And they just told us they're going to be bringing arc storms back. It was preceded by weeks of continuous rains and snows in the very high elevations that began in Oregon in November 1861 and continued 1862. From January 9th to 12th, a flood that extended from the Columbia River southward into western Oregon, through California to San Diego, all through California, and extended as far inland as Idaho with the Washington Territory, Nevada, and Utah and the Utah Territory, and Arizona and the western New Mexico Territory. The arc storm jumped an equivalent of 10 feet of rainfall in California in the form of rain and snow over a period of 43 days. And immense snow from the mountains caused flooding in Idaho, Arizona, New Mexico, Sonora, Mexico the following spring and summer. This is also when the Governor Leland Stanford, had to govern from San Francisco. Nobody knows about this. But getting back to, first let me go back to here. And this is from my book I'm coming out with, titled Paradise Lost, The California Fire Chronicles. And here's some newspaper headlines just over the past couple of years. California storms. This is the reason now California ranks number 2 in all-time 122 years of record. So that was in 2017. It caused the Oroville Dam. Then they came up with the terminology, the atmospheric river that goes all the way from Hawaii and just happens to hit directly into San Francisco. What are the odds? That's because they're using the Silver Lining Project, the Bill Gates Project, the wet surface air coolers to bring this weather in, and they were successful in 2017. So wildfire risk in California no longer coupled to winter precipitation. Wildfires just happen. Even saw an article they're saying leaving your water bottle in a car can start a fire through the plastic. Unreal. California drought, worst in at least 1,200 years, and then we have the 122-year record of the rains, and now they're saying devastating arc storms envisioned by California, U.S. Geological. So what they're envisioning is the Sacramento days of 10 feet of water. They're telling us it's going to happen again. California's future weather will alternate between drought and atmospheric rivers. Studies say, sources say. So this is from my book I'll be coming up with here shortly, titled Paradise Lost, the California Fire Chronicles, and I'll be making the PDF available for as well. But getting back to the story about this book, The Last Days of the Late Great State of California, again, it's after an unspecified date after 1969, a 9.0 earthquake. Now we know they've changed the 1906 earthquake, which was a 6.7, and now they're calling it even higher than that. They've changed the Mandela effect of that. So the quake is described as starting north of Point Arena. Point Arena is where the point subduction zone. This is where 3 major plates that I pointed out to before, and likely some of the fires, the underground fires, were generated from Port Mendocino up here. But Point Arena is just below that. So this is where all the Earth's mantles come together, is right off this point here in Northern California. So the rupture is supposed to continue through the San Andreas Fault down to Taft, California, pausing for moments. A second large earthquake resumes, continuing southward through Los Angeles and into the Salton Sea, where the rupture inexplicably turns towards San Diego, inexplicably, because that's where they want it to go, and back into the Pacific Ocean where the quake ends. As the quake progresses, both large and small, described in detail, the narrative switches to present tense news, radio, and coverage, and it's literally a convention. It's a convention of changing the dial from one news report to the next. The Central Valley is inundated by the sea. The Embarcadero Freeway is lost. Coit Towers collapsed, along with the Oakland Bay Bridge. The Golden Gate remains standing initially. Los Angeles is in ruins, and as the narrative closes, 2 more disasters occur nearly simultaneously. The Oroville Dam bursts, and in twilight of the day, a passenger jet over San Bernardino is pulled out of the sky by the turbulence as the pilot tries to describe the site of the San Andreas Fault splitting open in the dusk, and is made clear in the final chapter the pilot was witnessing Southern California slide into the sea. The novel's epilogue lists what the world must do now due to this event, especially the large percent of agriculture products that come from California. Remember the mutant food coming out? Food is going to be an issue. Remember the Hunger Games where they put a electronic a directed energy weapon dome, a Tesla dome over them where they fought their fights over food, folks? What are they trying to tell us here? So this is all from this book, The Last Days of the Late Great California. I just ordered it. And just in closing on the cover, see if I can read this. Our number one state has been called America, only more so. Everything from coast to coast seems to start in California. And end to? Question mark. Here's a startling quote report on the U.S. minus the Golden State, which was destroyed by a cataclysmic earthquake and its staggering effects on the American way of life. Indeed, get this, get a copy. I'll be getting the book, and once I do, I'll be reporting from it as well. All right. Nice, great date, an oldie but a goodie, the last days of the late great state of California. Hope that's not true, but being aware, being awake is more important than being ignorant, dumb, and stupid. All right, folks, that's all I got. Another new little tidbit we found in Paradise Lost, the Orville Dam connection. Maybe we prevented it. Maybe bringing all this information out in the last spring and talking about that it could happen, would happen, where's all the water going to go? It stopped them from enacting the earthquake, which would have caused the dam to burst. We may be having impact on changing history, folks. This is why we must bring this out and speak out. Even if you think we're wrong, oh, we talked about the Orville Dam, it didn't blow, we might have prevented it from happening. We don't know. Could this have been their plan? Just like Paradise Lost showed from John Milton's book from 1668, where John Milton died on November 8th, 1678, I think it was. November 8th was the day the fire started in Paradise. Paradise Lost, Paradise Attacked. Too many coincidences. All right, Plain Truth out. I hope you're on Plain Truth for you. Please share with others and love one another always. Peace.